Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Today, I am going to be talking about identity. Do you embody one or more of these 7 disempowering or disempowered identities? And I'm going to be using those words interchangeably. Disempowered identity or disempowering identity, empowered identity or empowering identity. Now, your identity is different from your personality. Your personality is the combination of characteristics and traits that make you who you are. But the identity is the fact of being of a person or a thing. So your personality is a combination of traits. Your identity is who you be. I like to say that, who you be. And tonight, without much ado, I'm going to talk about the different identities that I have seen time and time again, women embodying. And I'm going to talk about the one identity that we should all strive to embody, the one empowered or empowering identity versus the 7 disempowered ones. Now, it's Women's History Month of 2022, and it's pertinent for us as women to address these things head on. Sometimes I find that women don't step up to do what they know they should do, what they feel they should do, what they're called to do. And then we go into, affirmations, making sure that you are, making sure that you are shored up from within. But the truth is that positive thinking and affirmations on top of a disempowered identity is a long road of hard work. Now, take an empowered identity and layer on top of that your positive thinking and positive affirmations, boom, and the person is ready to go. So you cannot really go very far without doing your identity work. I have seen this time and time again. Women crumble and wobble when it comes to the place of identity because the identity is not as empowered as it should be. Now, maybe you didn't know this. That's fine. I dare say that if you're watching this, you probably haven't heard this before, or at least not heard this put this way. In any case, I never read it in any book. I never saw it anywhere. This is just from my studying of human beings, having been a doctor for 20 years and having been a life coach and a speaker for the greater part of 6 years. There are just some recurring themes that I noticed, and people fall into these groups and categories of disempowered identities. So I'm just going to jump right in. So the first disempowered identity is the superwoman. Think about superwoman. Superwoman has super strength, super eyesight, super vision, x-ray vision, etc. She comes from another planet of a superior species. The identity of the superwoman says, I am superior and I know what is best for everyone. Now, you may wonder, how is that a disempowered identity? Isn't she strong? Isn't she superior? Think about that. If you start to see yourself as superior to others, guess what happens? You cannot be vulnerable. And you spend a lot of time trying to cover up your vulnerabilities because you're superior and you know better than everyone, and you think you know what's best for everyone, as Superwoman does, right? People look up to her, the hero. If that's the role that people have given you in your relationships with people, then you want to be careful, because a superwoman can't be vulnerable. And when the superwoman has issues, there's nobody to be found anywhere because she's a superwoman. She's being cast in that role. That's the first disempowered identity. The second one is the savior. Now, the savior doesn't come from a place of superiority. The savior just wants to help. I just want to help. I just want to help. Even when people don't want their help, even when people are saying, leave me alone, it's your perception that I need help, I'm fine. The savior just wants to help. These are people who have a savior identity. They tend to be enablers, right? Because they think that whatever they're doing is helping. I just want to help. They tend to take more responsibility for other people's mistakes. They tend to want to save people from the consequences of their own actions. The Savior just wants to help. I just want to help. I just want to help. I just want to help. But really, are you really helping or are you enabling? That is the Savior identity. Number 3, the employee. Now, I'm not saying employee in the strictest sense of the word employee, meaning that you're employed by a company or a business to do a job. No, I'm talking about employee in form of an identity. The employee's identity is mother may I. Have you ever met these women, or maybe you're one of such women, who run around from pillar to post asking everybody, what should I do about this? What should I do about that? What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? Now, it doesn't mean you shouldn't ask advice, but if you find yourself constantly running from pillar to post, asking other people to give you permission to do what you know is best, you have an employee identity. And that identity is very, very disempowering, because you will never give your own self permission to do anything. You will always want to want the permission of others, and God forbid if you have to do something unconventional, you won't even know what to do, because there's nobody to give you permission and there's nobody that you can copy. That's the employee identity. Number 4, the martyr. The martyr identity says my self-worth lies in suffering for others. You will hear the people you hear say things like, oh, if not for my husband having to stay home with these kids, I could have been a teacher. If not for my husband's career, I would have been a lawyer. If not for, they were not trying to be a lawyer or a teacher. Their self-worth, they feel their self-worth lies in being a martyr, suffering for others, being a sacrifice. Look at what I've sacrificed for my family. You see, that's disempowering, because, you know, sometimes martyrs expect that same level of giving from the people they've given to, and they don't get it, because these other people are like, oh, I didn't ask you to do that, right? Women who say things like, oh, my kids never call me after all I sacrificed for them. Take a step back. That's the martyr identity talking. Your self-worth is your self-worth. Your self-worth does not lie in suffering for anybody. Number 6, the victim. Now, this is not referring to people who are actual victims of something, right? People are victims of socio-economic and political unrest, wars, etc. I'm not talking about that, okay? I'm talking about people who have this mentality that it is what it is and there's nothing I can do about it. They give their power away and they are apathetic. They complain a lot. Victims complain a lot. So it's not as though they're happy with their lot. They're not, but they don't feel that it's in their power to do anything about their situation. So all they do is complain and complain and complain and complain about their lot until, you know, all their friends run away from them. There's nothing I can do about anything in this situation. I am powerless, is the cry of the victim. Number 7, last but not the least, the pleaser. The pleaser, the identity of the pleaser is, I just want everybody to be happy. But you see, that is assuming a pathological ownership of the feelings of others. You cannot make people happy. You cannot control people's feelings. If you could do that, you would just wave a magic wand and everybody would be happy. But life isn't like that. People who are pleasers, they tend to not want to offend. But the truth is that if you say yes all the time to everything, people don't actually like you more. They just use you more. And the true test of whether somebody is your friend or not is when you tell them no and how they accept it or don't accept it. If someone can't accept your no, they just want your compliance. They don't actually want a relationship with you. And you cannot make everybody happy. You are not tequila. So I'm going to go through those disempowering or disempowered identities once again before I talk about the empowered identity that we should all strive to embody. So number 1, the superwoman, hero complex. Number 2, the savior, I just want to help. Number 3, the employee, mother may I. Number 4, the martyr, suffering for others. Number 5, I actually skipped number 5. So I'm going to go back. Number 5 is the fixer. Okay, this won't take too long. The fixer is the person who thinks that every single problem is theirs to fix. Everything, single problem. The world problems, the street problems, all problems are theirs to fix. But what happens when you go to, if you were to fix the world's problems, when you go to bed at night and wake up again, there will still be problems. So number 5 is the fixer. I skipped that one. Somebody who sees every problem as theirs to fix, no matter what the problem is. They don't stay in their lane and they don't mind their own business. So I jumped. So number 5 is the fixer. Number 6, the victim. And number 7, the pleaser. I'm going to go over those again. Number 1, superwoman. Number 2, savior. Number 3, employee. Number 4, martyr. Number 5, fixer. Number 6, victim. And number 7, the pleaser. Now, there is one more identity, which is the empowered one. I call this the identity of the king, the queen, the sovereign, or the CEO. What sets this identity apart from the others? First of all, that identity is centered in its own self. It's not centered in in the concerns and the cares of other people. Now, does that mean you should be selfish and not care about others? Absolutely not. But it should come from a place of strength, not from a place of wanting to people please or weakness, or thinking that the only way that you can prove your worth to anybody is by your usefulness. No. So, first of all, what is it about the sovereign? Number 1, the sovereign has a domain, right? The Queen of England is not going to trying to rule over China, because China has its own ruler, right? So the sovereign has a domain. You have realized that there are things you control and things that you don't. And the things that you control, do them very well, right? The things that you control. For example, the pleaser identity, they're trying to control other people's emotions. You can't do that. You can't do that. It's just an example. A sovereign has a domain. The domain is the area in which your area of control. Spend your time, your energy, your resources in that domain. Number 2, the sovereign has a tight circle with limited access. I don't know, but I don't think you could just walk off the street and walk into Jeff Bezos' office, knock on the door, and just sit in his seat and start talking to him. No, I don't think so. The sovereign knows that everybody cannot have equal access to them all the time. The sovereign lives within a tight circle with limited access. So there are people that have more access and people that have less access, and it's okay. Everybody cannot have all access to you all the time. You will burn out and run out of energy. You get to choose who has your most access, your time, etc. So, number 3, a sovereign has trusted advisors, doesn't run around asking for all and sundry. You don't see the president of the United States asking the man on the street or the woman on the street what he should do about the nation's problems. They have advisors who are political appointees, etc. Queens, kings, CEOs, they have coaches, advisors, and mentors who help them with what they need. They don't just go to all and sundry asking, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? That is a sovereign. Number 4, a sovereign is unafraid to do the unconventional. No one may have heard of it, but a sovereign steps up because, again, the sovereign has their domain. They know what they need to do. They step up and do unconventional things, even if no one seems to be doing them at the moment. 5, a sovereign remains in integrity. Now, when I'm talking about integrity, I'm not talking about things like don't cheat, don't steal, don't lie, don't do anything that's illegal, immoral, unethical, unsafe, or unkind. Yet, absolutely don't do those things. But I'm talking about integrity of thoughts, feelings, and actions. Personal integrity, integrity within yourself. What does that mean? Don't pretend to hate what you like and like what you hate just to be socially acceptable. Don't pretend that things are going badly when they're going well just to be socially acceptable, and vice versa, right? A sovereign remains in integrity of thoughts, feelings, and actions. So I'm going to do a quick recap of the sovereign and the identity we should all be striving to embody. The sovereign has a domain where they control. The sovereign has a tight circle with limited access to the world at large. The sovereign has trusted advisors and doesn't run up and down to all and sundry. Number 4, the sovereign is unafraid of the unconventional. And number 5, the sovereign remains in integrity. So this is longer than my usual podcast, but I think this needed to be said. So if you want, you can send me an email, info@charlesokoli.com. You can click the link to book a call directly with me, or check out my website in case there's anything that you want to learn. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to embody that sovereign identity. Please share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so that you can know whenever we send out any new videos.